Well, I don't know about you, but I'm a huge fan of seeing how people redeem their credit card points for travel, especially for those aspirational type of travel experiences like business class internationally, or maybe staying at a crazy hotel or an all-inclusive resort. So in this video, what I want to do is give you guys 3 awesome examples and 3 realistic examples of how I've been redeeming my Chase points for both domestic as well as international travel on the business class side. So I'm going to give you guys some scenarios, let you guys know some cent per point valuations, and show you guys just how far we can get with one single Chase point, especially as you start to leverage different airline alliances to really get the most bang for your buck for those hard-earned travel points. So without further ado, let's get started with the first one, which has to do with American Airlines, which is one of the most elusive airlines to redeem your points with. Let's get into it. Well, alright everyone, the first one I'm going to do is we're going to talk about American Airlines specifically because American Airlines is one of those kind of airlines that's very elusive in terms of how you actually redeem those points, because the only way to directly transfer to American Airlines right now is through the Bilt program in the Bilt card. But again, that's just a 1-to-1 ratio and there's no sign-up bonus with the Bilt card, so it's still tough to accumulate actual American Airlines. So that's where the alliance partners come into play. And I'm going to show you guys 2 different routes and to kind of emphasize just what the cent per point valuation is on some of these flights, because you might be surprised if you're somebody that really wants to go American Airlines, there's a way to do it, but there's a much better point valuation going a different airline for this same exact route. So what I'm going to show you guys here is we're actually going to leverage something called Qantas. So Qantas is a different airline, but they're part of the same alliance that American Airlines is in. So the first example I'm going to show you is going from EWR, which is my local airport, the Newark airport. We're going to go to LAX. And then we're going to pick January 24th, and we're doing just one way here, and we're going to do use points as well. So again, each one of these programs is different, and they're all free programs to sign up for, so definitely recommend signing up for them because it allows you to use these points. But we're going to search flights right now, and we're going to see what kind of cent per point valuation we get for this specific flight. So we're going from Newark to LAX, LA, and we should get some sort of point valuation on this one. And we're going to be focusing on business class here. So here you can see that we have 57,000 points and $6 in taxes and fees to go from Newark to LAX with, like I said, an American Airlines flight. So if you click on here, it gives you all the flight information and stuff like that. But from a cent per point valuation, we actually aren't that high right now. Because if I look at the same exact flight right here, which you can see, it is $768. So if we do the cent per point calculation, it's $768 minus $5 for the taxes and fees. So $762 divided by 57,000 points. That equals about a 1.3 cent per point valuation, which again is definitely better than what you get out of the portal, but is not as good as we can get when we are using transfer partners. And again, this is the only example I'm going to show that isn't a Chase partner. So Qantas is only available with American Express as well as Capital One. But the next 3 that we're going to talk about are all about Chase points, because Chase points are personally my favorite ones that I've been using for the longest time and the ones that give me the most actual value long term. So we're going to do the same exact flight, but instead we're going to be using Aeroplan. So if we go into Aeroplan's website, Aeroplan is going to be your best friend moving forward, because the types of cent per point valuation that you get here is absolutely amazing, because it is also in the same alliance as things like United. So if we go over here, we're going to do the same thing we did last time. So we're going to pick Newark over to LAX, we're going to pick January 30th, 1 adult, and we're going to make sure that points are selected. Then we're going to press search flight, and then you're going to see that we're actually going to be getting a different type of point valuation, because Aeroplan is very competitive when it comes to their point valuation. And what the beautiful thing about this is that if I search by business class, you can see that we have a nonstop flight going from Newark over to LAX via United Polaris for just 25,000 points. And now that same flight from a dollar perspective costs you about $914. So if we do the math on that one, we'll do $914 minus the taxes and fees, which is about $47 Canadian, which is I believe $40 USD. And then we divide that by just 25,000. We get a cent per point valuation of almost 3.5 cents per point, which is more than double, almost triple what we got if we wanted to fly American Airlines. So again, make sure to leverage these alliances and these partner programs, because it allows you to really get that higher cent per point valuation when trying to redeem these points. And then going from 57,000 to 25,000 is a big difference in terms of the points that you've been earning long term. Yes, the taxes and fees are a little bit higher, but nothing to write home about. So now let's do another one, but we're actually going to fly internationally this time. All right, so the next flight we're going to do is also going to be out of Newark, but we're going to be using Air France and KLM. So Flying Blue is a partner program for Air France and KLM. And they have some of the best point redemptions out there for international travel, especially if you're going directly to Amsterdam or directly to Paris. So for this one, for example, we're going to be flying from Newark over to CDG, which is Paris's airport. We're going to put a departure date of January 22nd, and we're going to fly business class. We're going to search for these flights. Now, one thing that Air France does have is their taxes and fees are kind of a little bit higher than the ones that we just showed, because normally domestic flights are a lot cheaper, but you can see right here that we do have a direct flight going from New York EWR, which is my local airport, and going directly to CDG, and it's 50,000 miles per person with $207 of taxes and fees. Now, if we were to look at that same exact flight and wanted to pay cash directly through Air Canada, we are looking at $7,766 for one person, one way to go from Newark over to Paris, France. So if we do our percent per point calculation right there, we have 7,766 minus about $207 in taxes and fees divided by 50,000. This cent per point valuation is 15 cents per point. Now, this could be a little bit inflated and maybe this isn't exactly what you're getting out of it, but if you were to buy this specific ticket with cash, it's going to cost you over $7,500, which is absolutely absurd. So you're spending only $200 out of pocket instead of the $7,000, and you're spending 50,000 points for business class to go internationally. So if you guys want to fly to France, I highly recommend signing up for the Flying Blue program, because Air France is one of those transfer partners that transfers, I believe, with every single credit card company from Citi to Capital One, American Express, Chase, even Bilt. So if you guys do want to jump on that, I highly recommend it. And as you can see, we actually have 117,000 points in Air France, and that's because we took advantage of Bilt's January 1st rent day program, which allowed you to get 125% boost on your points transfer. So we transferred, I believe, 51,000 points, and that equated to 117,000 Air France points. Again, I don't know if they're going to bring that back. This is the second time they've done that in the span of about 6 months, but it's usually only happening for one day for a 24-hour span. And if you forget to do it, then unfortunately you won't be able to do it. But now, something that might be annoying is that for us personally, these points are now stuck in Air France. So once you move them from your actual credit card program to the partner program, for the most part, they are stuck in that partner program, something to take into consideration. But for 50,000 points, this is not bad at all. And now the last example that I want to show off is actually flying from Newark to London Heathrow. Now, London Heathrow, flying from the US to London Heathrow, it's probably got to be one of the most expensive taxes and fees situations that I've ever seen, especially if you're flying business class. Like, for instance, if you want to fly Virgin Atlantic over, from a points perspective, it's actually relatively cheap. It's only about 47,000 Virgin Atlantic flying points, but you're paying almost $1,000 in taxes and fees, which for me is a non-starter. I'm not going to be paying $1,000 for any flight, let alone just taxes and fees, even if it does mean flying business class. So the work around that is, again, Air Canada's Aeroplan. This is going to be your best friend if you are a Chase user. So what you're going to do is, again, go into Air Canada, pick your flight. So we're going from Newark over to London Heathrow, and we're going to pick February 12th as our departure date. We're going to search for flights, and the taxes and fees here are much less than that $960 taxes and fees that you get with Virgin Atlantic. You can also go through Qantas, which I believe is about $250 in taxes and fees for business, which also is, again, not that bad. And if you want to fly American Airlines, you can go through Qantas. But if you want to fly United Polaris business class directly from Newark or JFK to London Heathrow, and only pay $77 Canadian, which I believe is about $54 USD, this is the way to go. So 60,000 points, direct flight, and let me show you what that point valuation is, because this same exact flight, if you want to pay it in cash with United Polaris, is about $1,900. So if we do $1,894 minus 54 USD, and then divide that by 60,000 points, you get a cent per point valuation of 3 cents or 3.1 cents per point, which again is not the highest one that we've gotten, but still 3 cents per point for every dollar you spend is absolutely amazing, because again, it's not as inflated as the Air France one that we saw earlier at 15 cents. But if you want to find an amazing product like United Polaris, nonstop across the Atlantic to London Heathrow without paying those absurd taxes and fees, this is an absolute win. So I wanted to show you guys some examples of how I'm going to be using my points, or how we're going to be using our points moving forward, because we have a big trip coming up. And if this video gets about 50 likes or more, we'll show you exactly what our itinerary is, how many points we spent, because we will be flying from Newark to London Heathrow, and then from Amsterdam back to Newark, and then some flights in between there. And I want to show you how I'm going to be booking that with all points, including our hotel stays. But let's finish up this video. So as I mentioned, everyone, if this video gets 50 likes or more, I'll be more than happy to kind of walk you guys through my itinerary that we're taking in a couple of months in order to get over to Europe and back, flying all business class using nothing but points, and also booking all of our hotels for about a week with nothing but Chase points. So definitely leave a comment down below if you guys want to see that, leave a like, and also subscribe to the channel, everybody, because these types of videos are not only my favorite to consume, but also my favorite to create, because I love seeing how people are redeeming points for that type of business class travel and really maximizing what they otherwise would not be able to do with something like just a regular cashback card. So we're definitely team travel, even though there is a time and a place for cashback. Team travel is the way to go. And then also leave a comment if you want to see some more maybe domestic style redemptions, maybe traveling within the US with flights, or maybe hotels inside of the US and things like that. But that will do it for this video, everybody. Leave a little credit card emoji in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. And if you guys want to watch more content like this, click on one of these videos right here. But until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here, everybody. Peace.